here we go. Now we're going live. We made it happen, I think. There's 5 people here. Well, there's 2 people and a dog in this room. And I'm going to try and share this somewhere. If you are logged in and you are seeing the video, leave me a comment down in the chat function. This is the first time of me using this new setup which I've put together. So bear with me while I learn what I'm doing. I'm gonna go to here. Oh, yes. A comment down in the chat function. Yes, we are L-I-V-E lively, and I'm gonna send the link to you so that you can have a look at it as well. And we're gonna get started very, very soon. As soon as I get myself settled and ready to rock and roll. If anyone has any questions at any point now, please let me know. And hopefully we will be able to stay live. So, right. Concurrent viewers, 1. This is a good start. Taking off my clothes. Yeah. Well, so far I'm not seeing much action. Bit of pen flair to get ourselves started. So, ladies and gents, hopefully you are logging in and joining up and getting involved, because I do want to get started fairly soon. 3 viewers. Yes, we are smashing it. Woohoo! We have Patricia is here. Hello, Patricia. Thank you for joining us. What else have we got? Who else is here? Anybody else? Nobody else. 3 viewers. I think one of those viewers is me. So let's close that down. And let's close that. Ooh. No. And let's put that on. Bear with me, I'm still catching up. Okay. Right. Yes. Patricia's still here. It says we have 4 concurrent viewers. I don't know what that means, but hopefully it means that there's some people watching this besides myself and Patricia. So, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer until I see some more people commenting in the comment section, because yeah, I want to make sure that we've got a lot of people here. So when I go through this whole session, you know, everybody can follow along. I'm going to check my Patreon messages. I feel like there's... Emmanuel. I'm not sure if you're here, but I'm going to send the link to you. If I can find it. Yes, you should be... So, as I said, Emmanuel, you are here. Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us as well. I think it may just be me and Emmanuele, and Patricia. Fingers crossed we'll get a few more people joining us as well. But that could be my mistake for not making the stream live on my Patreon quicker, but at least it will be available for everybody at a later date if they want to come and watch it at another point, basically. So Emanuele, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for becoming a patron. I hope there's a lot of videos on there that you've had to check out today, and today I hope this is going to be super duper useful for you. And as I said, I am going to just wait a little bit longer for a few more people to join, just so we've got some other people here to join us, basically. Let's check our Patreon. Tron. Yes, you are here. Super duper posts published. Well, Emanuele, if you are the only one here, because between me, you and I, Patricia's my girlfriend and just helping out with the numbers at the moment. But this is super cool. I'm gonna get going. What do you think, Emanuele? It's me and you. Pay attention. Let's just jump straight into it, and then we can do another one at a later date. Give me a hell yeah on the stream if that's the case, because I need to get a little bit of feedback. Concurrent viewers. I'd be interested to know what that means. Anyway, let's jump straight into it. Emanuele, thank you very much for joining us. Patricia, thank you very much as well. I'm going to try and talk to this camera, but sometimes I'm going to switch over to this one. And today, as I said, we are going to be going through... Flo is in too. I just got your message, Flo. Thank you very much. We love hearing if you have any questions. Cool. Flo, if you drop a message on the chat function as well, that would be fabuloso. I've lost my sheet. I've lost my sheet now. But here we go. There. So today we are going to be going through how to build a routine. Now this can be a nice private session, exactly, Emanuele. Well, it's you and Flo, who's another patron of mine, who hopefully you guys will get to know each other in the future. Anyway, let's jump straight into it. I'm gonna teach you how to build a routine. This is something which I've been asked. Actually, I say it's been asked a lot. I could be lying a little bit, but I've been asked by several people over the years, and I wanted to share with you my technique so that you can see how I did it and see how kind of rough and ready it was. Flo is here. Woohoo! Well, welcome, Flo. Thank you very much. So I wanted to teach you my technique of how I built a routine, and then we're going to analyze my 2015 routine and kind of go through that. So I don't know how we're going to go through that, but maybe step by step. I don't know. I'm going to hope that the battery on this camera lasts for the whole session. I'm sorry if it doesn't. If so, we've still got the camera over here on my laptop. But today we have an introduction, which I'm going through right now. I'm going to go through my 7-step process on building the routine. We're going to make a 1-minute routine, excuse me, making a rum and coke. Really, really simple. We're going to analyze my 2015 routine, give a little conclusion, and any questions that you guys have at the end, we will get to those as well. So, any questions before we begin? Just to start the proceedings off. I'm going to put in, at the moment I think you're on a 30-second delay, so I'm going to try and change that if I can. Stream settings. I don't think I can anymore. I don't think I can, but that's okay. If you have any questions, fire them down below and I'll get to them really, really quickly because there's not many people. So, when making a routine, the first thing that I think about, well actually, I say it's the first thing I think about, it's kind of not, but it should be, and it was at the very beginning. I'll tell you why it wasn't later on, but the first thing you should think about is music. Especially when building a competition routine or a show routine, the music is as important as the flair that you are performing or the tricks that you're performing. Because you have to think about it like this. When there's an audience watching you, they're obviously watching what you're doing, so they're seeing what you're doing, and they're listening. So you want to touch as many senses as possible on your audience in the best way that you possibly can to make them feel engaged and involved in what you're doing. So if you can touch the sense of sight, touch the sense of sound, and if you can get the sense of touch in there as well, and that would be by giving a cocktail. But obviously you can't give a cocktail to every member of the audience, but maybe you can, I'm not sure. Let's see how we're doing on stream. Good. But you do need to think about your music. I've written some notes here, so I'm going to use these to go through a little bit. As I said, the music is as important, and it's going to help you stand out from anybody else, from anything else, especially if you're getting a competition, if you're doing a show that you want music which people are going to relate to, because you don't want to turn up for like a sit-down dinner performing a show to hardcore dubstep or drum and bass. They probably wouldn't appreciate that. But if you went to a nightclub with sort of 18 to 25-year-olds, maybe they would appreciate it. So the music is very, very important when it comes to building your routine. And as I said, especially in a competition, it helps you stand out. It helps you, as the performer, get excited about what you're about to do. And it also gets the crowd excited, especially if it's a track which they're going to enjoy or they like, because then they can relate to it, they can tap their foot to it, and they can dance, clap, sing, and do whatever else they want to do. So always be looking for music. You should always be listening to music and looking for your next tracks or pieces of music which you're going to use to flair to, because flair looks so much better with music. Now, if you're just wanting to create a routine for behind the bar, the same thing. You should still try and think about a piece of music to go with the routine behind the bar. Or if you're just using flair behind the bar and you want to make a short sequence, obviously the music doesn't really come into play so much because you're not going to have full control over it. But if your bar has a playlist, then get that playlist onto your Spotify or onto your phone or whatever it is you're using to play your music, and practice to that music. Because as you practice to it more and more and more, you're going to get to know all the little touches of the music. You're going to get to understand the timing of the music, which is very, very important. And you're going to learn how to utilize that music behind the bar. So when a track comes on and you know that music already, you know that you could pick up the tin perhaps and do a bump to a certain piece of that tune. Or maybe there's a part of the song which has maracas, like chaka chaka chaka, so you go chaka 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 with your shaking technique. So it's all, the music should dictate, I've written it down here, but much better. The music should dictate the direction of your flair, but you should not dictate the direction of the music. Does that make sense? Think about it like this. Music has been made by a professional music producer, and I'm pretty sure that anybody watching this right now, including myself, is not a music producer. And the music producer the music itself has gone through different levels of tweaking and making it sound better for the general public. So the more that you mess with that, the more you're basically, excuse my French, fucking up the music and you're messing up your routine. So the reason I'm saying this is because sometimes I see people chopping and cutting pieces of music and ruining the count of the music. I'm going to talk about the count in just a minute. Couple of things before we talk about the count. When you are looking for music, look for something that you enjoy. Okay? Don't look for music which you think is the right answer. You saw this guy or girl using it, so I'm going to use that. That's incorrect. You choose music which makes you happy and you smile, and which also you think people are going to be able to relate to. At the end of the day, you can kind of use any piece of music that you want as long as your flair is going with it. So if you enjoy it and you like it, excuse me, and your flair is going with that piece of music, then the chances are everyone else watching will enjoy it because they're seeing what you're doing and they're hearing and they're putting the two together, and that's where enjoyment of visually and listening come together. It's like dancing. You see a cool dancer dancing to a piece of music that you don't like, but they're following that piece of music, you're still going to enjoy it, I would think. Yeah, and this is another thing. When you are looking for music and you are listening to music on the radio or on your Spotify, on your headphones, whatever it is, you need to imagine yourself flaring to it. So there's no point taking somebody else's music, and they've used it, oh my God, they did such a good job with that piece of music, I'm going to use it as well. No, because chances are you don't flare the same, you look different, you act different, different character, different imagination. So you need to find music which fits you, especially when you're making your performance. But, there's a little bit of a but, you should practice to every type of music that you can as well. So as you're looking for your music for your routine, you should also practice to all different types of music to see what you can come up with. Because as I said, the music will dictate the direction of your flair. Now let's talk quickly about the count of music. The count of music is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, break. Generally, general rule of thumb. It can be slower, 1, 2, 3, 4, or it can be faster, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But the beats per minute will differ depending on the genre of music that you're using. But if you think about that flow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it wouldn't count that slow at the end, but you use that count to dictate your flair. And I was going to say this a little bit later. What I mean by this is, from all the years that I've been flaring, I've used music to dictate my sequences and my flair routines. So now I can take the sequences that I have with bottle tin to bottle tin or whatever it may be. Hello Flo, welcome. I can take sequences from different parts of my routine, put it to a different piece of music, and 90% of the time it's going to fit because my sequence is built to the count of music. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll explain it better. So try and find a selection of different tracks or tunes, create a playlist, put them together into a certain order. If you know that music, let me explain that again. If you find 10 tracks or 10 pieces of music which you like and you think, I want to use one of those in my routine, put them together in order, back to back, so that you can just practice to them, listen to them constantly and feel them. And the more you practice to those pieces of music, the more you're going to get used to it, the more you're going to hear parts of that music which other people won't hear, but you'll be able to flow to that music. People always ask me and say that I've got very smooth flowing flair. It's because I use music. Music. It's the thing which people overlook so much when it comes to flair, and it's the one thing which dictated the direction of my flair forever, basically. Flair without music is just juggling, and flair without cocktails and music is juggling. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Remember, remember, the music is a reflection of you. It's so important. Just because a certain type of music works for somebody else doesn't mean it will work for you. Find your music and own it. If it's classic music, fantastic. If it's R&B, even better. If it's hip hop, superb. If it's drum and bass, if it's dubstep, trap, chill step, whatever it may be, find the music which works for you, because it's going to make you stand out. If you use the same type of music which I use, I like dubstep, and I did use drum and bass a little bit, and I used breakbeat quite a lot, and house music. Cool, it may work for you, but if it doesn't, don't be disheartened. Use something else. So the music is super duper important, and whether you are being able to choose it yourself or whether you don't have the choice to choose it, so if you're working behind your bar and there's music playing, the more you can bartend to the music, the more you can practice to the music, the better your flair is going to look and the better your flair is going to be. My lens is really annoying. I'm going to just, hopefully that's a bit better. OCD. I mean, I used to bartend with bartenders on events, and we'd know tracks that were coming, and we knew that there was a big drop, and we'd do a stall to the beat and then pour our drink, or as the music was building up, boom, open it up and then straighten it out. All of it will add to your flair looking and being presented a hell of a lot better. Step one, music. Music. And the music don't feel like it did. I've got a phone call coming. Not today. So anyway, step two. Oh, I think I might have extra steps on my list. Anyway, step two is testing, planning, and creating. Now I'm going to read through these paragraphs a little bit and then explain them for you a little bit better. Ideally, you should find music before moving on to this stage, but sometimes you'll have a music block. Sometimes you won't find the music that you want. So you can move on to this stage still listening to different tracks of music, but it's better if you can find a selection of different music before you move on onto the testing, the planning, and creating. Before making a routine, you need moves. And I'm assuming that everybody here already has a selection of moves that you can perform quite confidently. These are the moves that you need to get into your routine at the right time and at the right way. Doesn't matter how many moves you have, everyone can make a drink, can make a routine. And this is the key, is putting your moves into the routine in the right time and at the right way, which will hopefully become a little bit clearer as we go ahead. Simply standing on stage or behind your bar and performing moves without any kind of plan isn't really going to work, because it's just somebody standing behind a bar trying to impress people with stuff where all the focus is on what they're doing and not about making the cocktail for the guests, and looking up and trying to make them aware about what you're doing. So it is important to try and plan different things. If you see Carnival Court in Las Vegas or other Flair bars over the years, a lot of them, they would practice different routines and ideas to do behind the bar before they presented them out to the general public and to their guests. At this stage, step number two, when it came to myself and putting together my routine, I like to put the music that I've chosen I like to put the music on that I've chosen and just freestyle. Try out moves at different points of the music and different ideas. Sometimes this can last a long time. What I mean by that is, let's say I've got Prodigy as my Flair music and I've chosen 3 tracks. Prodigy Firestarter, Smack My Bitch Up, and Out of Space. I'm sorry if you don't know any of those. These are 90s tunes. But the more I listen to it, I would just freestyle to those tracks and get used to when the music would break and change, and try and make sure that I could do some of my moves or a stall on different parts of the music. Or if I heard the music going boom, 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 then I would try boom, 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 a tap section. Or perhaps I would try a boom, 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 a bump section. But I would just test my moves and what I could do to the music. I would plan what moves I could do with that music, and then I would start creating. So when it comes to the creating, as I said in the step one, choosing the music dictates the direction of your flair. So if you have a piece of music which does some weird, cool shit, and you don't have a move to go with that piece of the music, then you create a move to go with that piece of the music. That's how I got all my moves. That's how I got creative. I listened to a piece of music and I made moves to go with that piece of music. Excuse me. I just had lunch, sorry. A side note, you should be listening to your track, your music, constantly. Especially if you're doing a competition routine, you should be listening to that piece of music all the time. And by the time you go on stage and perform to that piece of music, the chances are you're going to be very bored of it. But at the same time, you should be getting excited about your routine, which we're going to cover again a little bit later. This stage number 2, is your testing ground. You're starting to put together everything that you know already, so having the moves that you've got, and putting it into a pile in your head, and then seeing if any of the puzzle fits. I know that sounds super weird and deep, but you've got the music and you've got all your moves, okay? You want to see if any of these moves fit with that music, okay? And that's what you're doing. You're testing, you're planning. Maybe you're replaying part of the track over and over and over to try a bump sequence. Maybe you're replaying the first minute to try the first part of your routine. But you're testing, planning, and you're creating new moves to fit the music which you have. Chances are, because you're still at the very first stages of building your routine, the chances are that everything will change after this step. And you'll see why again as we go further on. Sometimes when I start to do this stage, and a little disclaimer, as you're going through all these different steps, they do kind of blend in from one to the other. So it can take a small amount of time. Like I used to be able to put together a routine in an hour. I used to go to a competition. I never had a qualification round routine. I'd go into the practice room and I'd make my routine in an hour because I'd use 2 tracks, 2 different pieces of music, which I put together on my computer. And I had all my sequences. So I'd take a little bit of working Flair, a little bit of bottle tin, 2 bottle tin, and all my different sequences, I'd slot them all together with the music, which I already knew, and I could make a routine super duper quickly. But when I built the routine for Rodos Grand Final 2015, I was making a completely new routine with 8 different tracks of music, which I already knew, but I had to create all different types of moves. I had to upgrade, change, and everything else. So I went through this process of testing, planning, and creating big time. It was one of the most difficult routines I had to put together. But sometimes I would end up with like a 15 or 20 minute long routine, and I'd let the music play and I'd just do all my moves and see what worked and what didn't work. And then I'd have to just chop that down until I got it down to the time limit of which I was allowed for my show or on stage. By the end of this stage, step 2, testing, planning, and creating, sometimes you can end up with something good. Like I said, in the qualification rounds, I used to create a routine. I would end up with a routine, a good routine. I knew the music, I had my moves, it was very easy to put it together. When I'm creating a brand new routine, and I've got new music and new moves, it's still a mess. I just think about it like this: routine, Flair, and music. It's just a mess. It's just like, it's all mixed together with a few bits which kind of touch and are connected quite well. And you'll understand why I use my hands to explain this in just a second. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying right now. But if not, just let me know in the comments and I can answer any questions. To put it simply, the testing, planning, and creating stage is trial and error. You're trying stuff, you're making mistakes, you're trying new stuff. See what music is working. See what flair that you're enjoying to do to that music. You then need to start cutting sections out and changing sections, which then takes you to the next stage of what to flair. So, quick recap. You choose your music. Maybe you've got 10 pieces of music, maybe you've got 1 piece of music. You put that piece of music on, you start flaring to it and doing your moves, seeing if your moves go with that music somehow. Okay? Then you start planning ideas. You know, you look at the music and go, well, I've got the first part here, the next part, the next part, the next part. You start sort of planning different ideas that you can do to that piece of the music, that piece of the track. And you just start, try and document it. Sorry, I forgot to say at the beginning, I did have a disclaimer. Try and document it either by filming or taking notes, writing stuff down. I used to write stuff down because when I started flaring, we didn't have camera phones and things like this. We had video recorders like this, and it was a pain in the ass to try and record and watch back. Anyway, step 3, what to flare? Now, this may seem like a silly question, but the biggest thing that I see and the biggest mistake is that, especially in competitions, I'll see people, if they're making a cocktail, they'll put the ice in the shaker, the ice in the glass, they'll pour something else, dash of bitters, muddle. They've not done any flair. Then they'll pick up their bottle tin and start trying to go crazy with the moves that they're doing and blah, 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 blah. This is wrong. You should be flaring everything that you touch. Now behind the bar, maybe not, but picking up a jigger like this every single time is super fine. Picking up a shaker like that every single time is also good. Spinning a strainer and placing it in your shaker perfectly fine. So you can flare everything and everything that you touch behind the bar, but if you are making a routine and a show or a competition routine, you should be flaring everything that you touch. The previous steps was always easy to find the bottle and shakers. This helped me find the parts of me. Yeah. So when I say you flaring everything, we're going to focus a little bit on the, let's say, craft flare type moves. Because the previous step, testing, planning and creating, is very easy to find the bottle and tin moves and sequences that we want to perform. Because most people have a lot of bottle tin, 2 bottle tin, 2, 3 bottles, or whatever it may be. Not a lot of people will have a lot of variety with their tin on tin, or jiggers, or spoons, or napkins, or knives, or whatever it may be. So when you're making your routine and you've got your piece of music, and you've got your bottle and tin stuff, you then need to start filling in the gaps. Because there may be some of you out there who's like, well, I don't have as much flair as what you have. Perfectly fine. If you only have 10 moves, but you're making 2 cocktails in your routine, and those 2 cocktails is a shake and strain cocktail and a Cuba Libre, for example. Even a Cuba Libre, rum and coke, you've got the napkin, the glass, the ice, the scoop, the rum, working for an exhibition flair, the lime juice, which could be in a bottle or from a Mexican elbow, the cola and the straw. That's 11 different things at least that you can flare with, and what you should be putting into your routine and focusing on to make the routine as rounded and as entertaining as possible. So let me just take some of my notes and read it out to you. So if you're making a competition routine, you should look at the cocktails that you need to make and then figure out what items do I need to make those cocktails. And then you know all the different items that you are able to flare with. And you should be flaring absolutely every single one of them, without shadow of a doubt, without question. Remember, it is about making drinks. Although we're gonna use some plastic bottles here to show you some stuff, you do need to make drinks at the end of it. Otherwise, you're a juggler, okay? And I see it a lot these days, a lot of new people coming into the Flair bartending scene. They've never bartended and they make cocktails, which is also fine. No problem, it's the way that the world is. But try and remember that if you are gonna make some flair, if you're doing it in front of people, you need to make a cocktail. And that's the one thing that people miss in competitions a lot. And I've said to you, look at the cocktails that you're making and that will help determine what flair that you can do. The rum is as easy as you can flare multiple of what makes you stand out as everything else. I'm just reading my notes. So yeah, as I said, you know, the bottle and tin section of most people's routines is very easy to find. Most people would have picked up a bottle and tin and flared with that. But all the other parts of that routine, all the pieces of equipment that you can use is what's going to make you stand out. And when we look at my 2015 routine, you'll see where I've taken that thought process and put it into that routine. And you'll see some of the best moves and the best reactions I had were from these moves. From these moves with the napkin or the scoop or the ice or the whatever it may be. And I'll show you them when we get to them. The music will help you dictate when to use these secondary items and what to flare with them. So perhaps you have a piece of the music that goes quiet, for example, and you are straining. Okay? You use that, you accentuate that part of the music. I remember Mark Porzlusny had a piece of music at the beginning of his routine, and it was like similar thing as what I just did, and he was like like this, and then he put that down, napkin, and he accentuated the simplest moves with the biggest movements. Sorry. And it grabbed the crowd's attention. So even though you're just muddling, if you just muddle like this, you're not going to grab the attention. If you muddle with power and make it look good and stand out and go with the music, you're grabbing people's attention straight away. So put as much effort into creating these smaller moves as you do with making bottle and tin moves and sequences. It will help make a massive difference to your routine. It will also help with freestyling when you come to make routines without having any planning pre-planning before. We've got visitors, including a dog is here. So focus on those moves. I remember one year at the Roadhouse Grand Final, I was making 2 drinks of 2 tall glasses, and I spent a whole day figuring out what to do, how to get the ice into my 2 glasses using tins and napkins and everything else. I can't remember which year it was, but I did it on stage. And I was happy that I've put that time and effort in, because it helped my routine start on a much stronger note than simply just putting ice in a glass and putting it on the bar top. So at this point, as I said, let's just go through. We're building a routine. We've got our music. We've done our testing, planning, and creating. Now we're choosing to fill in all the gaps that we may have. So we're building a routine. It may not go with the music yet, okay? But you're building a routine. Let's say there's a 5-minute routine, and each one of my fingers creates 5 minutes. You've got 5 minutes of flair now by the moves that you have from your testing, planning, and creating, and by including in the what to flair everything else. And again, it can just be a simple chuck behind the back with a shaker, or a thumb roll with a jigger, or whatever it may be, but include it in. And when you do that, when you use every item, you're stretching out your routine. And you're also making it much easier for the audience to watch. If I pick up a bottle and a tin to a non-flair person, and I just stand here for 4 minutes doing bottle tin stuff, which may be enjoyable for some people, but general Joe public, especially if you're doing a show, they'll get bored after 30 seconds. So you need to, when you use these smaller secondary items, these secondary moves, you break up your routine to make it more manageable for people to watch and understand. So it's much easier for someone to watch me do this, drop it on the floor, a bump into the tin, stop, woo, and then stop again, okay? I'm not saying that's how you have to do it, but breaking up your routine a little bit will help people manage it a lot better. Now, once you've got your rough draft of your routine, because you are still building this routine, you are still putting all these ideas together, and in your head right now, you may be thinking, I'm still completely puzzled. Hopefully it will all make more sense as we go through. You should have a rough draft mixed with steps 2 and 3, using your testing, planning, and creating, and your what is flair, using all those other pieces that you can put together, okay? What did I say here? When you have your rough draft of routine in step 2, mixed with the moves that you found and created here in step 3, you can then move on to step 4 of creating the first draft of your routine. So essentially the first 3 steps are kind of planning everything and seeing what you have. It's like you're planning a bank robbery, you put all your tools on the table, go, right, what we got? Let's see. We've got this time and this and that, and you're just kind of putting things together and go, right, we can use that to pick the lock, and we can use that to sound the alarm, and this is our getaway car. But you still haven't got all the other bits, you've got all the other bits, but you don't know how they're going to fit together yet. So you can also think about it as a puzzle. You've got all the pieces of the puzzle in a rough order. So maybe you've got all the pieces of the puzzle out on the table, turned the right way up so you can see all the colors. You've got all the edges made of the puzzle. You've got to put all the other pieces inside. So think about it like that. You've got your music, roughly. Could be a bit too long. Maybe you've got your music sorted now. Or you've got what I do at that point, if I've got the 2 or 3 tracks that I like, I put them together roughly in the best way that I feel that it would work for me. And then I can use that. I can always change the music later on. Don't always remember that you can change everything at any point. So you've got your rough routine, you've got your rough music, and you now need to start putting it together into your first draft. So let me read this to you. Your first draft, it's time to start putting it all together. You should have music, maybe some different options still, but you should have your music. You should have your moves that you can already do, and you should have new moves. Could be, when I say new moves, it could be just the move that you use to pick up the shaker, as I said. It could be just a simple move to pick up the strainer, but all those new little moves that you found in step 2 and you found in step 3. Now is the time to put everything together into a rough draft of a routine. By the end of this, you could have something really good, or, you could still have something fairly rough. Now take into consideration that all of these steps are not going to happen in one day. Sometimes a routine like my 2015 Roadhouse Grand Final routine took 6 months to put together. But as I said, I could make a qualification round routine at a competition in 1 hour. So it depends on the level of routine, it depends on your level of flair, depends on your level of tension, and it depends on a lot of things. But if you want to make something good, don't rush it, don't try and get through it too quickly. Just plan it step by step, stage by stage, and be prepared. It's all about creation. Be prepared to change it and update it and completely make it something else halfway through sometimes. That's happened to me before. So, to start getting it all together, what I would do is try and make sure you've now got your music. It's important that you've got that music. And I've got 5 minutes worth of music. So, well, let's take the Roadhouse competition. 8 minutes worth of music. 8 tracks, I think it was. You put all that music together, stop and start. You can learn about editing music later on. That's a whole nother situation. You put all your music together and you start slotting everything in. So you start putting all the moves into where that music goes. Maybe you've got a 2-bottle tin sequence which you really, really like. You want to put it in, see where it fits. Maybe you've got working flair. You want to put it somewhere, see where it fits. And you start putting everything into place and figuring out which part should go with the next part and the next part and the next part. What I mean by that is you're now getting to the presentation of the flair that you're going to perform. So the way I used to present my moves was I would do a tap section, and I would do a roll-in section, and I would do a snatch section. And I did that on my 2015 routine. Didn't do it all the time in my previous routines, but I found that was a good way to present my flair to the public, to show diversity and variety, and to keep it exciting for me and to keep it exciting for them as well. So if you have 3 big moves, you don't want to do them back to back to back. You want to do them at separate intervals throughout your routine. Remember the count that we talked about on the music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I was off count on that one. So that's one move, but perhaps you have another one later on, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then perhaps there's another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So figure out where those moves will go. What is your biggest move? What is your easiest move? Start, did I put it in here? 1 second. The way I've explained this stage before to people, making your first draft, is think about the format of your routine, basically. Now, you can think about it like a roller coaster. Roller coaster goes, and then dig it up again, and then down again. So it's an emotional roller coaster of different feelings, which which is what you want to bring when you do your routine on stage. You want to take people up high and drop it down, or another way that some people do it is they just try and go big badass moves from step 1 all the way until the end. I don't recommend that, it's really tough. Only people like Alexander Stifanov, Alex Searle, and I don't know if you can think of one other person, let me know. But Marek doesn't do that, Tomek didn't do that, I didn't do that, a few people do try, but it's a tough one. So Try a slow building routine. Tomek did his routines like this. He used to finish 2009, I think, or 2011, where he won pretty much every international competition. His routine built slowly until the very end, 3 tins to bottle. He nailed it and he finished on a big high. It's very important to finish on a big high. Very important. Leave them wanting more. Leave them with a big lasting impression. So think about that format. Start getting it all together. Put your music on, start slotting everything into a place, and imagine, as I said, I've written here, imagine an artist putting the lines of their image, but still the option to change it, okay? Use the music to find the right places of your moves. If you listen to the music and you think about a piece of music which goes zoom, that is a zoom, you know, if it goes bam, 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 it's bam, 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 okay? You can just make it easier. Bam, bam, bam. You can do what Denny Bakiev did. He had coughing like in his track. You probably know the track. And that's all he did. He went to the music. People loved it, okay? So it doesn't matter how small you can go to the music. You start slotting all those moves into the right place. Following the music means your sequences will fit other music in the future. I mentioned this already. My routines, my sequences, bottle and tin sequence, I've always put it to music. So if I put on a piece of music now and do my bottle and tin sequence, if I can remember it, the chances are it will go with that music because it will follow that count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I try and follow that flow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like this. Probably counting a bit too fast. Anyway, this is more about trial and error in terms of finding what works and what doesn't work. Sometimes it'll be super easy. Sometimes you'll find things that work super duper well. And other times it'll take ages. But remember, the music is your friend. The music will lead you. Depending on what type of routine you are making, you should focus on ensuring or covering all the points that you need to. What I mean by that is if you're doing a competition, read the rules. What does the rules say? Do you need to be smooth, creative, difficult, varied, entertaining, whatever it may be? Make sure you're covering all those aspects. Always make sure you're being entertaining. It is most important. So making sure that you're presenting your moves correctly. If you're doing a Flair Bartending show, it should be all about entertainment. They don't care if you can do 6 tins in a bottle. And if you do 6 tins in a bottle and you don't do it correctly, they don't care because they don't understand it. They're more interested in you doing something like this because they can understand that. They can see the bottle fly, hit your elbow and land in a shaker. And they go, I understood that, so I'm going to clap. Okay? So think about those things before you just start making any kind of random routine. You need to figure out the format of your routine. As I said, are you subtly going to grow your routine up? How long are we going? 47 minutes. Are you going to go big badass moves all the way? I recommend not, but you can if you want. Are you going to go up and down like a roller coaster? Are you going to go smooth and stylish like Mika Metio or Luca Valentin? Or you got another idea that you want I don't know about or you know about. Do what works for you and do what works for your style of flair. You don't have to be a fast flair bartender because somebody else was fast. You don't have to do big moves because somebody else did big moves. All you need to do is do a routine which you are happy with and makes you excited, because if you are happy and you're excited, then everybody else will be happy and excited as well. Cool? Yes. Florian is laughing and clapping. So, start playing with ideas that you want to create and then start putting it together into its final positions, kind of. You should be getting excited about your routine and wanting to show it on stage. Okay, we're going to move on to step 5 in just a minute, but let me do a quick recap because there's a lot of information there. Number 1, choose your music. Okay, number 2, test out your moves to that music, plan new moves to that music, and create new moves to that music. Okay, this is why the music is so important. Let the music dictate the flow of your routine. Number 3, then add in all the other things, moves, craft flair moves, whatever you want to call them, to fill out all those gaps that you may have. Maybe you don't have any gaps. Maybe you have a shitload of flair, but you want to create new stuff. And you think, well, this music I need to put in different aspects, or if, as I said before, you need to make certain cocktails. So think about what you can do with all the tools and stuff that you have to make those cocktails, and focus on it. If you have to flair with a strainer, spend an hour flaring with a strainer to find some cool moves with that strainer. Okay? I've lost my count. 1, 2, 3. Step 4, make your first draft of your routine. Now, remember I talked about the hands, this hand being your flair routine, this hand being your music. You should be at this kind of stage now. So you put your flair routine over the top of your music, but it doesn't fit. So stage number 5 is like a glove, because they need to fit like a glove. Okay? Solid, tight, like a glove. Not like this. Flair is like here right now, and the music is there. It could be even separate positions. You want to and make sure that they're fitting like this, and your music will dictate that. Okay. Let me read what I've written for you one more time. At this point, you may have a fairly finished final draft, or as well as your chosen music. Hopefully, you have. You should. Hopefully, at this point, have your music pretty much sorted, and you should have a draft, a template of a routine, ideas, so to speak. The way I like to look at it is, if your hand, I've just explained, your hand is the flair and the glove, and you've got to fit them together like a glove. As I said before, you should be listening to your music constantly at this point. You're going to start hearing things in that music that you've never heard before. So you could get bored about it, but with your new routine, you should start getting excited about showing that routine on stage to everybody else, or to your peers, or whoever it may be. Yes. So you should be getting excited about your routine. But one mistake that I've seen a lot of people do is that they rush to try and get that routine on stage and show everybody, and then it's a mess. Stop. Make it right, make it perfect, do it well, and you'll reap the rewards afterwards. Whether it's the position in the competition that you wanted, or perhaps it's the appreciation from your peers telling you that they really enjoyed your routine. Go over and over and over your routine, learning every single time, fixing, changing, and maybe upgrading some of your moves, because at this point you could have been practicing and putting your routine together for several months, and the move that you learned, which was an over the shoulder to a stool, maybe you now realize that if you add in a bump, okay, it goes to the music better, it looks better, it's a bit more difficult, it's a bit more varied. So at this point you could be upgrading certain moves, you could be changing certain moves, you could be adding in little touches here and there, which then brings me to the details. Step number 6, details, details, details. You've got your routine together now, hopefully. You've got all your moves, everything, and you've put it to music. And you're like, boom, I'm ready. It's not ready yet. Not ready. Okay, somebody's laughing. You need to look at those details. The details make the big impression. This is essentially you presenting all of your moves and yourself on stage. So there's no point, just as I said, you've got your moves, you've got your flair, it goes with the music, go! Because what's going to happen is you're going to go, head down, pull, yeah, messy, whatever. I don't mean any offense by saying that. I've been there, I've done it, everyone has done it. The details make a huge, huge difference. You need to be entertaining, so make it entertaining. This is where the details come in. Most people watching won't understand what you're doing, so make it so that they can. Think about, when are you going to smile? When do you stop? When do you smile? When do you acknowledge the audience? When do you look up? Do you high five your bar back? Where do you stand when you're performing your moves? Like I had a move like this on stage. You can't see what I did. So I used to do this, boom, 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 okay? And make sure I turned around to perform this move. The same with this move. because it helps me turn around, and then I can move on to the next moves. Hello, Wolfie.
Hello, Wolfie.
So presenting your moves in the correct way, standing onto the side of the bar, in front of the bar, standing on the bar, maybe putting your back to the audience, maybe whatever it may be. These details will make the big difference to your routine. Do you need props for certain parts of your routine? I had a crate for my one, which you'll see in a little while. What are you wearing? So many times I see people go up on stage on like a Tom and Jerry t-shirt or a Fruit of the or a Stussy or whatever. Dress smart-ish. If you've got a branded t-shirt, wear that. Put your hair up. Put some nice trainers on. Put your jeans that fit, you know. Make yourself stand out. If you go up there looking like you've just walked in off the street, you're not going to get the appreciation or the attention that you may want. And then also think about your cocktails. How do they look? How do you pour your cocktails? How do you present them? How do you showcase your cocktails to the people? Because the chances are 99% of the people out on the audience have no idea what cocktails you're making, and they want to probably drink it. So why not have a menu on your bar top? Why not somehow put the recipe in the music? I don't know. The details make a huge difference. I'll tell you one thing that a guy called Ricardo Bin did. He poured out his cocktail and he was using Whitney Houston. And he went, boom, boom, and I will always love you. Sorry. And, but he used a Whitney Houston, I will always love you, in his routine. I thought it was genius. No one had done that before. But I've seen people use classical music, and I've seen people use the stage in different ways. There was a guy there's times, Oliver Pluck, who used to organize a Roadhouse competition. They said, okay, Oliver, your time starts now. For the first 30 seconds of his routine, he wasn't even on stage. He said to the DJ, play my music, put on the strobe lights, put loads of smoke, and he stood backstage like this for 30 seconds, waiting. And everyone was like, what the f is going on? And what he did, he created suspense for people to watch him. It's genius. No, I've never seen anyone ever do it since. But he owned it. So figure out those details. Make it you. Make it your ideas to make yourself stand out from anybody else. And if you're behind your bar doing something, maybe you want to put your leg up and pour like this. Maybe you do a pour over your shoulder like that. Maybe you pour in a different way. Maybe you team up with your bartender mates to do stuff to stand out, to make those details a little bit better. Maybe you then start getting your guests involved in some of the tricks that you're doing by throwing a cherry up and you landing it on the toothpick or whatever it is you may be doing. Depends on your bar, depends on your situation, but think about those details. They make a huge difference. And then step 7. Step 7, lucky number 7, don't stop. That means don't stop practicing. Don't stop practicing. Keep going. When you've reached your goal of practicing your routine in the day of maybe 20 times, do it 10 more times. Challenge yourself. Practice at the right time. Practice at the wrong time. What I mean by that is that a lot of competitions are happening at night time. So practice at night time. Also practice at 6 o'clock in the morning. Practice at different times so that your brain is ready at whatever stage that you may be. Because if you're doing a competition, you're going to get super tired. And if you can do your routine super tired, you're doing well. Practice your moves for the behind the bar at different times, before shift, after shift, at home, at any point. Don't fucking stop. Sorry for swearing. This is what makes a difference. And this part, step number 7, for me was the most boring, unfortunately. Because if you're practicing a routine, you're going over and over your routine and you'll keep going over it. But the good thing about going over and over your routine is that you'll obviously get much, much better at your moves. I'm just going to check my battery. I think 1 second. Oh no, it's okay. You're going to get better at your routine, but you will start finding more of those details. The details will never stop. My routines never stop changing up until the moment I go up on, well, the day before the competition pretty much. They should never stop changing because you find a different way of doing something. You find a different technique to be able to present that move in a better way. So, before we analyze my routine, fire your questions in the comments box, and I'm quickly gonna do a recap on what we just spoke about very quickly-ish. Making a routine is all about you, your character, your imagination, your ideas. Don't be influenced too much by what you've seen other Flair bartenders do. You can get inspiration from elsewhere, but make it about you and what you like and what music you like. The music will dictate everything. If you're making a show or a competition routine, the music dictates everything. The flow of how you're going to flare, the moves that you're going to perform, when you start flaring, when you stop flaring. If the music builds up, you know, you start flaring when that beat kicks in. You don't start flaring 10 seconds before it. So use that music to dictate. Step 2, testing, planning, creating. Test out the moves that you already know. Plan what you need to do with your music for the future of preparing for that routine, and create new moves and new ideas. And again, that doesn't mean you have to create a whole new move every single time, but it means bringing in new ideas to showcase picking up a strainer or a jigger or a spoon or whatever it may be. Step 3, what to flare? And that basically means flare everything, okay? Flare everything that you have in front of you. Use the cocktails to determine what you have available for you to flare. The cocktails and the ingredients. And figure out how you can incorporate them all together. I mean, there was a bartender in the States or South America, I can't remember his name. And I never really saw him live, I don't think. All I remember is this story that he did 4 objects. He just did 4 objects, but the 4 objects was a bottle, a small shaker, a straw, and a strainer, for example. 4 objects routine like this. So focus on all the aspects, all the different items that you can use. Step number 4, create your template, your first template of a routine. Put everything together very roughly, it's all kind of mixed together, and try and, you know, plan what you've got, put it into a rough template. I see your question, Flo. I'm going to get there in just a second. Hang on one second. Once you've got your first routine, your first draft, you're going to continue practicing that first draft over and over and over. At every single stage that you're doing, it's a case of repetition, repetition, repetition. But once you've got that first draft, you want to, boom, put it together like a glove. And then you start adding in the details, okay? Smiling, standing, presentation, everything else. And then you practice your ass off to get it done. That's how essentially I build a routine. And I hope you've understood it. So, but we do have a question from Flo. He says, do you choose the drinks that you are doing and the number of them in a competition? Yes and no. Some competitions, they will say that they want you to make a certain drink, like a set drink, and you make your own drink. Some competitions, you make 2 of your own creation. But you'll have to make, let's say, they'll say you have to make a tall drink using this vodka and this juice, perhaps. So a lot of the chance, 99% of your routine will be dictated by you and your creativity. And in every single competition I've ever entered, they've never said that you cannot make more drinks than what you have to make. So if you have to make 2 drinks and you make 4, no problem. I've never seen anybody do it. Well, I've kind of seen a few people do it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, because if you do that, you're going to stand out. And that's what it comes down to when building a routine and doing any kind of flair. It's about standing out and providing entertainment to the people that are watching. Whether you're just doing it for friends and family or you're doing it on a big stage, you need to provide entertainment, you need to make sure that you enjoy it, and you need to stand out above the rest. Otherwise, you're just another Flair bartender in the nicest possible way. And some people will also enjoy that, but there's great Flair bartenders out there that you may have never heard of that work on their own bars and follow a similar kind of system to this. I can see it in what they're doing, you know. And they just are, they're superstars on their own bar because they make sure that they focusing on the details, presenting themselves correctly, make sure that they use the music. They use the music a lot, and I won't shut up about music, but the music makes a huge difference to your routine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch off this camera right here just to save the battery. So I'm going to just go around here. If you do have a question in the meantime, let me know. And hopefully you can still hear me. Let's see what happens. Let's see if you can still hear me. It makes a huge difference. If you do have a question in the meantime, let me know. Okay, I think you can still hear me. And hopefully, yes, you can still hear me. So, let's see what happens. Yeah. Let's see if you can still hear me. I need to turn that off, so I can't help. So I'm not going to talk to myself now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through my 2015 routine, which I'm assuming the three people on here would have seen, and I'm just going to kind of skim through it fairly quickly, I suppose, and show you key points to that routine. So, how am I going to do this? Because I need to switch on. No, bear with me. I'm still learning. Roadhouse. Let's turn off that. Let's turn that on. And let's interact.
Ready for the one, the only, Tom Dyer!
Hopefully you can hear the sound. Can you hear the sound of the video when it comes on? Ooh. Whoop. So, give us a thumbs up if you can hear the sound. Right, I've got another idea. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear the sound. Yeah, thank you, Florian. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play different sections of the routine and fast forward if there's parts which probably unnecessary. And if you have questions at any point about that routine, at any point, just let me know. But just to kick off, the idea behind it, as you see, I've got bottle tin is king, because the idea was to try and make a statement about Flair bartending being saturated and dictated by difficulty and less by originality and creativity, and essentially by the people doing what they think is right and entertaining their guests. So to do a routine with just two objects in the grand finals was quite a big risk, I suppose, but I wanted to take that risk because, you know, to make that statement. Anyway, so let's have a look. At this point, just about to start, I was absolutely shitting myself. I didn't know if people were going to enjoy what I was about to do, and I didn't know if I was going to completely fuck it right up. But let's have a look.
Anyway, 8 minutes on the clock, and your time starts now.
I didn't know if people were going to enjoy. If you see the first moves, I did 2 napkin moves. I did a glass with the lime, and then I think I'm picking up the muddler. These are all the what to flair section of the routine, and making sure that I'm flaring everything I touch. That was the point of that I dropped my first new move. I had a tap with the spoon, which I thought was really innovative at the time, and I was supposed to move the spoon with the sugar, and completely fucked it up. And at that point, I thought I'd completely messed up the whole routine, to be honest, because when you drop so early on, it's tough to try and pull it back. Let's see it.
To move the spoon with the sugar and completely fucked it up. And at that point, I thought I'd completely messed up the whole routine, to be honest, because when you drop so early on, it's...
So, Emmanuel asks... Oh, hang on. Let me just quickly get rid of this. Oh no, let's escape that. Emmanuel has asked, how do you link the moves when you're building a routine? I always struggle on how to connect the move. So I'll just take a quick break to explain that for you a little bit. Linking moves, as I said, the music will dictate the direction of your flair. Linking moves, the music will help you link your moves together. Linking moves is such a difficult one to teach, but I'll show you how I made my routines at the very, very beginning when I had no flair, no moves. All I knew was things like this, okay? I would get to a point where I'd go like this, and I'd think, right, what can I do next? I can bring the bottle up like this and throw it back behind my back, or I can bring it up to throw behind my head, or I can do some kind of flash move. So I would follow the motion of what the objects are doing and then try and accentuate that motion. Okay? So I'll try and show you some examples that, okay, that for example, you may not have seen it, but if I'm following the motion of what I'm doing, the bottle and the tin are moving around in these circles, okay, and I'm continuing moving them in a flowy manner and accentuating those movements in the best way that I can so that it links together really, really well. And then that probably doesn't help, but let's take something as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? I'm kind of getting away from myself, but everything is moving like this. Boom, 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 kind of. And then I want to change direction. As I come around, I spin and I change the bottle grab to this reverse grab. Sorry, I'm on a small screen. Let me try and fix this for you so that you can, let's just turn that off. And then, like magic. As I come to here and I'm doing this reverse grab movement, that gives me a chance to change the direction. It also gives me a chance to change the type of move that I want to perform. Okay? I see a lot of people doing stuff like this these days. They'll do all right? People are changing the way that they're standing, they're moving uncomfortably. It should be a dance, it should be flowy, it should be movement. The music should dictate how you move. So if I'm just doing something simple like this, okay, just simple swipe overs, that helps me make things smooth. And then I can add in a movement, okay? And you see, look, watch the thumb rolls of the shaker. So no thumb rolls, and then I'm going to do thumb roll, thumb roll, thumb roll, thumb roll. Lots of thumb rolls, and the thumb rolls help make it more dynamic and smooth things out. If I don't put thumb rolls in, you end up flairing with just one item, almost. Okay? So the thumb rolls help when you need to change direction, when you have nothing to do in this hand, when you want to change position of the bottle. So it's such a tough one to get taught, to teach people. But the best way I can explain it, as I said, is to follow the flow of where you're going okay, and imagine that, whoops, and how you can, and what move you can do to help that flow. So, as I was just doing, like these motions here, I'm moving my body to help my arms moving the right way to be able to continue the flow of what is happening. All right? And just doing that exercise like this will help you understand the flow of your routine and how you can make it go together so nicely. Of course, there's going to be breaks, there's going to be changes, but if you need to break up the flow, you need to change things, then don't hide behind your changes. So if I want to go from this position to this position, I've seen people do this. They've landed the bottle, and then they just simply do that. But you can make that, okay? You can flow your flair by using a move to make that link. So instead of this, you can come over into the shaker, and then I'm just doing this in my hand, but I'm accentuating the movement. I'm slowing it down slightly and then speeding it up to help it flow, if that makes sense. There's many ways you can do that, but as I said, don't hide behind your changes. Use them to show something else. There's another way you can do it. If you wanna, you can come up onto your finger and go like this. I used that one a couple of times. I think I used it in the finals routine as well. And it's helped to change the direction, oops, change the grab or the direction of which you want to go or whatever you want to do. So linking moves is tough, but it will make you stand out above the rest. And don't be shy to do things which you may feel is wrong. Don't be shy to accentuate your changes. I hope that helps, Emanuele. I hope that helps understand it a little bit. But as I said at the beginning, the music should help you when it comes to linking things together, because perhaps you have a movement with the bottle and tin which you've done to the music, and then you have a short gap in the music, and then you need to link it together with something just to get to the next move. So I'll give you another quick example. Sorry, let's go back to a bit of a bigger screen again. I'll try and think of a quick example being, let's take this, okay? And I want to be in this position in my right hand to then do a split behind my back, okay? So this is the first move, which we've got. And the other move which I have is a split behind the back, all right? How do I go from one to the other? So I can either change the first move and upgrade it to do the same movement, but I'm catching the bottle behind my back in the shaker, dropping and then doing a split. Hope that makes sense. I'll explain again. Instead of doing this motion and catching it like this, I can throw them like this, land the bottle inside the shaker, and then I said I can drop here, or I can turn my whole body, throw this, grab, okay, and then turn even more and throw behind the back. So I could do that. That could be one option. So I'll try and show you. When I'm doing this, I'm going to do it this way round. The first part of the move was this. Okay, I'm catching tennis, The same move, but I'm doing like a triple spin with the bottle. Okay, once I've caught there, boom, 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 boom. Too much turning for me. I didn't like it so much. So if I was to do this for real, I'd probably catch, throw, and then just split. But if you want to create some moves, extra moves, but keep these moves the same, because maybe these aren't the two moves, obviously, that you're going to try and link together. So you have this one, and you have the split. Okay, so you want to link them together. So I need to get into that position. Or I could end up doing it from this position. I'll explain in a second. So I can go boom, boom, boom. Too much waving around. Too much, okay. So I'm going to go over. Bit better. So what I'm trying to figure out is those movements getting to the splits. I'm not just doing this. I'm trying to accentuate those movements. Whoops. With an extra move being a snatch, change, split. Okay, that's probably the easiest way of doing this kind of linking move. One, look at the bottle is coming down, so it can come in front of me. Watch this direction of the bottom of the tin. It's coming down. At the same time, the tin is moving. I'm bringing them together. Woo! Behind my back. And then I'm using my body to break that flow because essentially I'm kind of behind my back. Normally you would turn like this. That's the way I feel it. But, excuse me, I've done the snatch. I'm using my body to step back and provide the next move. So I'm using my body to create the linking move or to make it look better. I hope that helps. I'll try and give you some examples throughout this routine so you can see how I managed it on stage. Where are you? Cool. So, oh shit. How did I do that? There we go. All right. Dancing whilst muddling to the music. What a flash.
So. Oh shit.
See that with the scoop? As you can see, I've chosen the rear view cam on the link so you can see other aspects of the routine which you may not have seen before. But that with the scoop was a boom, boom. I was just throwing the scoop up and then going down into the ice well, using the music to make something or putting the scoop back in the ice as entertaining as possible. Same with the juices. And if you see, let's just quickly take a look at that, picking the items off of the bar top, the music goes do-do-do, do-do-do. So I was like, I can pick up my items like that, do-do-do, do-do-do, and then snatch as the beat kicks in. I'll be ready, ooh, with maid and sea, ooh. Sorry, carried away. So let's see again. I'll let it play for a bit longer on this routine. Oh. This is a good example for you about linking moves together. So, oh shit, done it again. How do I get out of this? Yeah, there you go. So this working Flair routine, I used to practice it I practiced it so much and I had it so good to the music, but when I made that drop, it fucked up the whole thing in the music. But once I do this move, now, I've already caught the objects, but I don't want to just do the move here. So I've caught the objects, imagine does that make sense? Caught the objects here, I don't want to just go like this, okay? Because my back is to the audience. So let me do it this way around. I've gone boom, boom, the roll is here. There's no point me doing it in this position because all the items are behind me. So now I need to link together, whichever way around I catch it, this move, and I need to turn around. So you can see how I turn around. Boom. Okay, so it's just a quick wave of the arms. Boom, boom, boom. So when it comes to the pour, I'm sorry, I'm switching the volume on and off. I hope you can still hear it. I'm putting my volume on the computer on, so hopefully you can hear it. Anyway, when you watch the pour, it's, how did the pour go? It was like this, okay? And I went, so I just moved the bottle and tin to the music instead of just pouring. Every step, details, details, details. Oh, ready? Boom. Boom. And the high five was at the wrong time. So I said to my bar back there, Antonio Mantelli, I said, look, but when I'm going to do bottle tin, the second bottle tin section, I need you to high five me beforehand. But he understood this is the second bottle tin section. Anyway, let's go onwards. So I've done my working Flair bit. The bottle and tin was my working Flair, and that was it. I didn't want to do 2 bottles. I didn't want to do any other working Flair. I wanted to focus on, you know, just good hardcore bottle and tin moves. Now, at this point of my routine, I'd already made a few drops. I'd made 2 drops in my working Flair and the spoon. So I was like, shit, I'm not doing great, but it seems to be going okay. Anyway. Oh. Now, look at my position. The position of my body, I picked up the bottle and tin because I made this part of the routine, and this will help you with linking moves, Emanuele. So I picked up the bottle and tin like this, and as I picked it up, that's helped me turn around. So the bottle and tin was on the bar top, I went zoop, caught that went behind my back, and then I'm turned with the back to my audience. I wanted to do that because it said bottle tin is kin written on my back, and because of the next moves, which were this one, which I think I forgot, this one, and this one, okay? And then the big move at the end to the music was to turn myself back around again. So let's just watch and see. Turn around. 1. Turn around. 2. 3. This one. Turn around. And
so let's just watch and see.
Emanuele, or everybody watching, it's about linking moves. As I turn around, where is it? Boom, turn around. See how I've gone into that next move already? So the move that I did was this, and I'm in this position, and I want to continue my routine. So I caught it, however I caught it, and go, and now I'm into this motion. So this move helps me get back into the position to now continue with what I needed to do. Okay? This was all new. There's that move I told you about to change the position. It was like this. To get to here. So everything has a purpose. Everything that I'm doing has a meaning to get it to the next move. And there's a good little tip that you can try and think about for yourselves. The end of the last move should be it is always the beginning of the next move. The end of the last move is the beginning of the next move. So think about how you need to end each move to then begin the next one. Maybe you need to catch it differently, maybe you need to do something differently, or maybe you need to add a move in the middle of those 2 moves to link them together, and that's where your linking moves will come in. So, this was the lampshade section of my routine. and the lampshade section was new. I hadn't done many lampshade moves. That's the lampshade. So it didn't go down super well. It worked. So I got some of my moves in there. But you just got to keep powering through. And look. And pouring, standing. I'm literally this far away from the audience, next to the bar, looking up. Woo! Details, details, details. 3, 4, shaking to the beat and shaking to the music. Okay? Now, this point of the routine, you're going to see a lot of the details that I focused on because I wanted to use this music, but I wanted the build-up of this music. And I wanted to use this build-up of the music to do all the fun, all the moves at the bar. So finish off the first drink, start the next drink, put ice in, use the scoop, use the tiki mug. I think there was bitters in there as well at some point. I can't remember. But you'll see the details, the Grand Marnier move, which you probably have seen, the scoop move. And this part of the routine was one of my favorite parts because it's moves which people can understand and see happening. And you'll see the reaction that it gets. I'd also forgotten my routine at this point a little bit. See? Tiki mug, scoop. A scoop over the shoulder to an arm stall. I mean, anybody with a little bit of practice can nail that move. And done at the right time, at the right moment, you get a good reaction. Details.
Let's go, Bartender, baby! There it is!
Ta-da! The crates. So, this part of the routine, if you see down by my feet, I planned that part of the routine like I planned my bottle and sin sequences. I knew I needed to get that crate out onto the floor in the simplest, quickest, most subtle way that I can. So I practiced it. It was one of my moves. It was the details. And I'd had to do it at this point in my routine and flare around the crate, of which you're going to see, so that I could seamlessly get onto the bar without the audience knowing what had really gone on. Ready? Turn around. Did that move.
Taking us back to 2006.
Head to the music. Boom, boom, boom. Fuck it up. I just want to show you. So, after I've done this double behind turn around, as I do the thumb rolls, you see I go up on my tiptoes, and again that's to the music. Ready? Now, boom. Fuck it up. So, at this point as well, I knew that the point of getting onto the bar top was coming. So again, using the music to dictate where you're going, what you're doing, I knew I had to get on that bar. So I'd had to store that second bottle, which I was struggling to do. But using that music will help you dictate through your routine. There's the crate, up, bum, bum. And I practice this move every single time. Every time. I think now after this, I think is where the routine gets a bit better. And what was I going to say? Actually, after this, I forgot my routine. You'll see I repeated a move with this one. Oh shit. Which I can't do right now. Which was this one. It's really hard to do behind this bar. Wow, you're going to see me do it a couple of times. I may fast forward slightly as well, just so we can get through it.
This is your moment, Dyer.
Boom, to the beat. Drop. Forgot the routine now. Routine. No, I'll tell you when it's forgotten now. You'll see me say it. Nah, I've forgotten it. There you go. That's the point where I've like, okay, let's do this one again. And then it came back to me. So now, back in the game. Now, everybody has a moment in their routine normally of a move that they're going to land. And if they land that move, the rest of the routine should become a bit easier. And that move for me was the one after this one, which was this. This one. Now, whoop. And the reason is because it was a super fast, dangerous move. Super fucking dangerous. And I knew that if I got that, my confidence level would be boosted. So, helicopter section, presenting my moves with the helicopter. Then, roll section, I did a secondary roll section later on. That was supposed to be 2 onto the hand.
Looks like we're staying with 2.
Into what a lot of people didn't notice is that I emptied out the ice well. The shaker went into the ice well, the bottle went into the speed rail, and in hindsight, what I should have done is thrown them both in there and stopped for a second, like this, like I've got nothing in my hands, but I put everything away and then picked them up. So the ice well is a bag, so I hit the bag for the tin to come out and carry on. Boop, there you go. Then it was the bar top section, utilizing it as best as I could with the judges' table in the way. Then I wanted to look like I was bored. Entertainment. And then you finish off with a big move. I knew this was going to be a big move, but I knew the next move was going to be bigger because that move was big, but the next move was going to be bigger because what I've done, you've given them this, and they're like, woo, and you hold it there, and they're like, what's he going to do next? And you use the music to dictate the moves. Boom. To the beat. Make the taps, make it flow, keep it clean, don't drop it. So, this part, pretty self-explanatory. To the music, all to the music, taking my time, moving around, building the suspense with how you throw it. The details here is slowing down when I need to reach the beat. Focusing on just snatches, and then interacting with the audience. Same here now. So this section of my routine is super easy for me, but I knew that if I built it up and interacted with the audience and did it a little bit faster and a little bit quicker, it would get a big appreciation from the audience. They don't know what I'm doing, they can't understand it. All they think is I'm going quickly and doing some really, really tough stuff. And some of it's a little bit difficult, but I hope you understand what I mean. Messed up that move.
1 minute left. Are you enjoying this one?
So, to give you an idea of the routine itself, it was a collection of all my old music and moves I did over the years. I tried to upgrade a lot of my moves and bring extras to those moves. And then the last part of the routine, there's a doggy. The last part of the routine was supposed to be the new moves to new types of music. So it was going into like the next century, the next years of Flair, so to speak. There's a doggy here looking at us. So, we're nearly there. Thank you for hanging in here this long.
More than 2 objects. No more. 8 minutes and 2 objects. Flair over the years. Top Dyer style.
So that move now, slow and build up. To the beat. And this has all got us... let's just quickly go back. I want to just show you. Sorry. If you look at the theme of each sequence has a slight theme to it. I did a snatches section, I did rolls, I did taps, I did bumps somewhere. I did all the details of making the drinks, I did working Flair, and a lot of variety in different types of moves. But each section had a theme, and the theme of the last section, the last sequence, was kind of fakies, where I did flip the bottle out and onto the shoulder and went to snatch it and dropped it down. Big moves. It was all about doing big, huge moves, and with the new music as well. And then the move, which we're going to see in just a second, the bump tap movement. I knew that people knew this move. I've been doing it for like my whole career of Flair. So I was like, I need to make this better. So the idea of doing the move twice was something which people would never expect. And when you see the move, the first part is done, but not to the music. People are like, cool, they're clapping, but they knew it's not to the music. The people watching this, they knew that it should normally be to the music. So that's when you do it a second time, and you really show the people that this is my move, this is what I know what I'm doing. You're showing a certain level of control and commitment to your routine. I hope that makes sense. Oh, I've went back too far. Fakey, fakey, fakey. Music. Boom, 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 boom. Look at them. Look at these two here. And then I was excited at this point. And then the last part is the best move. The last part is the best move, not because it's a balance on the chin. It's the best move because I completely forgot to plan it in my routine. And that's why I had ripped the pour spout out of the bottle with my teeth. And it's also the best move because if you look at the MC, as he's on the microphone like this, I'm also in exactly the same position performing the move. He then catches the bottle as well. We call it the catch. You'll see it coming up in just a minute. So this last part was not planned at all and completely goes against everything I've just explained about building a routine. But it worked. There you go. Way! Go! Let's turn that off.
So this last part was not planned at all and completely goes against everything I've just explained about building a routine.
Stretch that out and kablam. Hopefully you can still see me and everything is good.
Let's turn that off.
I think that's working. So. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Sorry, I've got a dog coming in waiting to get my attention. Anyway, I think we've got a couple of questions now. Florian, and boom, dangerous Dyer physically born for Flair. Thank you very much. Well, I mean, I hope it's been helpful. I know it's a lot of me. What we forgot to do was the routine of the rum and coke. I'm going to leave it out for now because we can save that for another time. Hopefully when there's a few more people on the live and we can go through building a routine in that way. But there's a lot of information in there. I hope you've understood how I've explained it. I hope it's been interesting for you. It's an hour and 45 minutes of me talking, so I really do appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. A really huge thank you to all of you who do support me on Patreon. It really does mean a lot because, you know, there's a lot of effort and work that goes into making these videos, and it's nice to see the appreciation from you guys. So I really do appreciate it. And welcome, Emanuele, for joining us for today. I thank you again for joining to be a patron as well. Again, I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope this has been informative. If you want to watch it back, it should stay on my feed. I hope so. Yeah, should do. Hell yeah. But if you have any questions, you can either ask me now. If you have questions later on, just whack it on the Patreon messaging system and I'll happily get back to you as soon as I can to help answer any of your questions. I know some of you mentioned about talking about blind catches and I think somebody mentioned linking moves as well, perhaps. Sorry I didn't cover those in much depth, but as I said, I wanted to give you the process of how I put things together instead of trying to teach you moves. Because if you can learn the process of putting it all together, then the moves, once you've got the moves, it's going to be easier to link it, if that makes sense. So, what was I going to say? So yeah, when I went through this whole building of a routine, thank you, Florian, it's such a hard one to explain. And I know that some of you may still be confused, so that's why you can still ask me questions on that messaging system. But just try and think about it like this in the simplest possible way, is you do the flair that you want to see. Fuck what everyone else is doing, not relevant. The only person that you're in competition with is yourself, if you're doing competitions or if you're doing anything. So do what you want to see, make it entertaining. That's the next big step. Make it entertaining, because if you're not entertaining, you're not going to go forwards. And I learned that last routine that I did is my proudest one and my most appreciated, I think, by others. And, you know, I still get a few people appreciating it on Instagram and that. And I'm truly flattered by it when people tag me in that. And I'm very, very proud of that routine. I'm just very unhappy or upset. That's the wrong word, but I realized how to make a routine like that on my last ever routine. And some people say, why did you quit? Why did you quit? Why did you quit? Well, I always thought you should always quit on a high. And I don't think I could ever do any better than that routine. It was literally, as I like to say, it's my heart and soul into my Flair performance. And that's another big tip that you can take away from it. You put your heart and soul into what you're doing. You put your character, your imagination, your character, your ideas, your flair into your routine. You will come up with something completely unique from everybody else. Okay? You can learn from others. By all means, learn from others. Learn moves, learn ideas, learn techniques. I do all the time when I see people doing different stuff. But then you take that move, you take that idea, you make it your own, you put it into a routine, you put it into a sequence in a way which is fun for you, and you will stand out. Here's a couple of, just to finish off, a couple of people which I think you should watch in terms of Flair bartenders to look for is Alex Searle. I'm going to write these in the comments. I want you to I've forgotten his name. Sylvain Glatigny. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Sylvain Glatigny. Glatigny. Jesus Christ, I can't type. Glatigny. There we go. What's the other one? Slava Gazukin. I I think that's how you spell his name. There was somebody else. Oliver Heggie. And if you haven't seen Sebastian Ogweek, you need to watch him. And there's plenty more, but the reason I've singled out these people, Alex Searle, all about huge creativity and difficulty. He flowed, but aggressively flowed. He had his style. Sylvain Glatini. I've spelled it wrong. He was like a bullfrog when he flared. Watch his style, watch his flow. Super good. Slava Gazukin, probably the most creative flair bartender out there. Oh, check out Flavius Lupu. Also one of the most creative flair bartenders. Oliver Heggie, super smooth, but did bumps and taps in a very unique and different way. Sebastian Ogweek was the most beautiful flair I've ever seen in my life. And, you know, there's several more. And use these guys as inspiration. They have gone against the grain and done what is good for them. And we're not seeing that come through on people in flair these days. Only some of the people that you've seen go through our bartending school in London, London European Bartender School, those guys that practiced down there, Ricardo Bin, Brian Lovato, Mattia Giromel, you see their technique change because they've learned from myself and other people that have been in that environment how to put things together correctly and more fun and enticing and in entertaining way. Jumble St. Pierre was good at putting together a routine, really good at putting together and presenting his moves. So check out these guys and let me know what you think. Flo, I'm glad you have time now to teach us. You're welcome, Flo. Thank you for... Oh, shit. Sorry, I'm making a noise. As I said, thank you for your time, guys. It's almost 2 hours now. And, you know, for you guys to spend the time here listening to me, I really do appreciate it. But I'm going to stop. If you have any questions at all, let me know. Drop me a message on Patreon. I hope it was helpful. Once again, thank you, all of you, 2-3 people for being here. I hope you got something from it, and look forward to the next live stream. If you have any ideas for the next live stream, let me know, and we'll get to it for next month. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Your stream was